Hi there, Ford owners. Today on your 2021 Ford EcoSport, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install CURT's 1 1/4 inch trailer hitch receiver. And this is what our hitch looks like when it's installed. The cross tube is going to be hidden behind the bumper here, but we are going to see the receiver here at the back. But it stays tucked up pretty nicely, so to me it really doesn't detract from the looks of the vehicle. It kind of looks like it was just supposed to be there. It's a Class 2 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 receiver, so it's going to be great for all of your accessories, whether you're wanting to put a cargo carrier on the back here to free up some space for passengers or bring more gear with you, or if you're wanting to hit the trail and load up a bike rack here on the back. It'll be great for all of those. You'll secure your accessories using a 1/2 inch hitch pin and clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but we've got plenty available here at eTrailer, and you can get locking ones as well, so that way you can protect your investments installed into your receiver. On bottom, we've got hoop style safety chain loops, and they've got a very large opening, so it should accommodate just about every shape, size, and style of safety chain. Our regular chain here goes in there just fine, and even these larger monsters here can go in there with no problem. This hitch features a 350-pound tongue weight, which is the force going down on top of our receiver, and that'll be enough for a 4-bike platform rack, fully loaded up with 4 bikes. It's also going to be great for cargo carriers like we talked about. However, with a cargo carrier, you're not going to be able to get the largest one here at eTrailer and fully load it up. They often load up to about 550 pounds for the larger ones. And with 350 pounds, you do want to keep in mind that that includes your accessory installed in the receiver plus anything on top. So that'd be the weight of your cargo carrier plus all the components you've got on it would be the total weight that you could hold with this. So you don't want to exceed that 350 pounds. But regardless, that's still a lot of weight. You could easily get out enough room for a couple of passengers if you were to move that gear out of your vehicle onto a rack like that. It also offers a 3,500-pound gross towing capacity, which is how much that it can pull behind it. And that should be enough if you want to get a little bit of work done. You've got a small utility trailer. You could get a drawbar here and get a little bit of work done. Also, if you have like a jet ski that you want to bring with you for the weekend, you should be able to pull a jet ski or a small boat or kayak trailer with this as well. So you can definitely open up some options with this hitch. It's not the biggest. You're really not going to be pulling a larger camper or anything. You might be able to get a small pop-up camper on here as well, as long as you pay attention to those weight ratings. With all that said, you do want to make sure that you verify in your vehicle's owner's manual and ensure you don't exceed any of its towing capacities. Now I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, it measures right at about 5 inches. And that's important when determining if your accessories can be placed in the receiver without contacting the bumper, and if they can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper. And from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube, it measures about 12 inches. And that's important when determining if you need a drop, a rise, or a raised shank on your accessories. And since this one does sit so low to the ground, I would recommend a raised shank on your accessories. Now that we've covered some of the features of our hitch, why don't you follow along with us in the shop and we'll show you how to get it installed. This one's fairly easy, so you should be able to have it done in less than an hour. We'll begin our installation underneath the vehicle here at the back. There's an under panel present if you have the 2-liter engine. We're going to be removing that. We can start by taking out all the screws. You're going to see there's a bunch of these that run along the bottom. There's about 10 of them down there, and we're going to use a 5.5mm socket to remove them. And then towards the center of the vehicle, just behind the muffler, you're going to have 2 plastic nuts. We'll use a 10mm socket to remove these, and when you're taking these down, you want to just give a little bit of downward pressure on the panel. Then we'll just move over to the other one, and we'll get those to pop off of there, and then we can get our entire panel removed. We're just going to slide it slightly towards the front, and then we can kind of tilt it down and work it out of here. It does look like over on the driver's side here there's an electrical connector that's attached to it. That just pops right off of there. So we just pull the clip off of there, and then this will slide out of here. We'll now lower down our exhaust. You'll have 2 hangers, one on each side of our muffler. They're located over here. We're just going to put a little bit of spray lubricant on those. That'll make it easier to get the hanger off of there. And then you can just pry it off of there. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. You could pry it against your exhaust like this. That works pretty well. You just get it popped off. Sometimes I'll just take the pry bar too, and you can just take it and just kind of push like that to get them off as well. It just depends on the angle that you've got to work with. We're then just going to head over to the other side here, and we're going to get the one removed over here. And we've got it dropped down there. And it looks like it'll want to angle itself here. So we're going to want to make sure that we support it over on this side. So we're just going to pop the hanger just partially in to hang that up. And then we're going to grab something to support it just over on this side. So we're going to take our strap and run it around like this. And we'll hook it onto the suspension on our vehicle here. And then we can just kind of snug this up. And this way, when we take this loose here, it is going to want to sag down, but that way we've got some kind of support on it to help keep it from falling down too far. Here on the driver's side now, we've got our exhaust out of the way. We can get the factory hardware removed that's in our way here. We're going to remove both on the side of the frame rail and both on the bottom. On the passenger side, we're only going to remove the bottom bolts. We're not going to remove the side bolts. We'll take this hardware out using a 15mm socket. When you're taking out your side bolts, if your socket and ratchet are a little bit too long, it might get stuck against the paneling there. So you might just want to stop after you got it mostly the way out and then just finish taking them out by hand. And now we're on our passenger side. We'll have both of those removed, and then we have to feed some hardware in the opening here for our final attachment. Here's the handle nut that comes in your kit. This is what we'll feed up into the frame rail, so we've got an attachment point. Our attachment point is going to line up with this hole here, so this is going to be basically like this inside the frame. To get it in there, we're going to bend it, so I like to hold it up to figure out the length that I need for where I want my nut to end up, and then we're going to bend the handle at about this point, because this is our access hole where we're going to be sliding it in. So I'm going to just pinch it right there, and then I can kind of give it a bend. And then if we look at it here, that's going to line up pretty well with our hole there. We can then just take our handle nut, slide it in there, give it a little bit of a twist, and you can see it's going to line up and work out pretty well for us. We can now take our hitch and we can lift it into position. We're going to go up over our exhaust, and we're going to line up the holes in our hitch with the holes in the bottom of our frame. We'll then take our factory hardware. We're going to bring that back up and just thread that back into place. We're going to get one on each side, and that will ensure our hitch stays up in place while we're installing the rest of the hardware. It'll make it a lot easier so we're not supporting all this weight while we're trying to do it. Once we get all the factory hardware in, you'll take the bolt that comes in your kit and the conical tooth washer. We're going to place the conical tooth washer on it with the teeth facing away from the head of the bolt. We want the teeth to face towards the hitch. We can then bring this over, and we may need to move that handle nut around just a little bit and hold it in place, and this bolt will thread right into the handle nut that we had dropped down in there. We can now go back and tighten down our hardware. We'll use that 15mm socket once again for our factory hardware. And we'll swap to a 19mm socket for the single bolt that came in our kit. We can then go back and torque our hardware to the specifications outlined in our instructions. With our hardware torqued down, we can reinstall our exhaust. We're just putting a little bit of spray lubricant back on our hangers there, so that way they'll slide on easily. And we're just going to lift it up and push them into place. You can now either just not reinstall the bottom panel, or you can trim your bottom panel to fit properly. I've gone ahead and marked it out. We're going to be trimming the panel here. This section here is going to go around the receiver, so we're going to cut that out. And we're just going to be using a pair of snips to cut it. We're just going to follow the lines. You can actually find this diagram too in your instructions that I'm following on where I made my marks to trim this out. And we can just take that out of there. And then the edges that we've got there, you can use a file to clean up those edges to smooth them out. But we do have a little more trimming we need to do. We'll also need to trim to clear the attachment portion of our hitch where it's going to the frame. So I've marked this out on this side, and it's similar on the other side. Your panel's not symmetrical though, so it may look a little bit different. We'll show you that side in a second. We're gonna be trimming it out just like we did on the center section there. And here you can see the marked out area where we need to cut it out over on this side to clear our hitch as well. And we can now put our panel that we've trimmed back into place. It is going to be tight feeding it up in there, but just take your time and work it little by little. You should be able to get it up in there. And that completes our installation of CURT's 1¼ inch trailer hitch receiver on our 2021 Ford EcoSport.